Hello everyone and welcome to another video here at Financial Hub. Now today's video I want to talk about gold. Gold is rallying and many people don't understand why why it's creating all-time highs. Many of you are just buying, making a lot of money. Yes, everyone is a genius in a bull market. And many people are losing, trying to catch a top. And I talked about this multiple times. And even in yesterday's video, everyone is trying to catch a top and trying to sell the market, saying it is overbought. It is breaking all your indicators, showing overbought. Your RSI is saying overbought. Stochastics overbought. Everyone is trying to short this market. And those are things we used to do when I started trading about 8 years ago, trying to catch a top. Because we believe from what gurus say in the financial markets, what goes up must come down. But who knows when it's going to come down? Who knows when it's going to start going up? No one knows. So today I just want to talk about gold. Because yesterday I talked a little bit about the crypto markets. Now today I just want to focus on gold, what's happening, what's pushing markets. Because some banks, like the Bank of America, is predicting that this market is going to go to up to $5,000. I talked about that yesterday as well. And just looking at those predictions and seeing what people are saying. But at the same time, what goes up must come down in a certain way, in that what goes up must have a correction, and also what goes down normally has a correction to the upside. So let's look at a few things here. And let me just share my screen. Um, there we go. Cool. This is gold. You can see that gold chart, okay? You can see how it's breaking multiple highs. You can see previously we had here back in after the financial crisis in 2008, gold rallied to tops of 1900 thereabout, crashed all the way back down to 1000, about 50% drop to the downside. And now we can see markets really rallied before the COVID saga to as high, which wasn't a really big high, to around 2050, crashed again, or let me not say crashed, got a correction to about 1600, and now gold is just rallying at all-time highs, creating new highs, new highs, new highs. And what you can see from my screen, this is the weekly chart. Currently, gold is in a 9-week consecutive gold rally and continuing to rally higher and higher. Now, a few things we can look at of what is causing these markets to go up, and a few things now. This video might be late. I'm just catching up and not telling you now is the right time to buy gold. I'm just catching you up to understand what is happening in the gold market. So number one, Fed rate cuts. So gold is a reflection, sort of, remember, we've been saying this a lot, and we keep saying it, and I hope you guys tend to understand it. The market is always ahead of reality, economic reality. It's normally showing in advance what people are expecting to happen in the markets. Now, people are pricing in that the Fed rate cuts will continue to lower as we go towards the end of the year. And what you can see here, if you look at Forex Factory, the trend started around, we got our top here. We consolidated at the 5.5 interest rate level. These are interest rates, and you can see now the Fed starting July 2024, or rather September 2024, they started lowering interest rates. So for the last 1 year, they lowered it a bit, then stagnated for a bit. And this year, this last month, they just lowered it again. Okay, September from 4.5, they lowered it by 25 basis points now to 4.25. Lower interest rates gives access to more capital, more money, and people can invest more. And that's why you're seeing gold really rallying. And number two, we can look at is inflation. Still same. You can see the CPI is sort of not really highly on the rise, but it is slowly going higher. You can see since May 2025, it's gone from 2.6 to about 2.9 on year-on-year basis. The CPI, you can see that the inflation is starting to go up. Now, as interest rates go down and people can borrow more money, there'll be more money in the economy, which is going to cause people to purchase more and spend more money, which will cause sort of an inflation as a consequence in the end. So we're sort of seeing that, and people are relying on gold as a safe haven of where they can put money. But all in all, bigger, looking at the bigger picture, is a lot of the trade tension. And I talked about this yesterday. When it comes to trading in the financial markets, you need to understand the world trading infrastructure and how world trade normally works, because this is where we start trade wars, sanctions. Um, we run depending, the world runs depending on the correlation or the relationship they have with one another with respect to trade. Now, and I talked about this in yesterday's video. and what caused the markets to crash over the weekend, or rather starting on Friday and rebounded on Sunday. The reason being, China talked about capping, or rather controlling the exports of special minerals that they export towards all over the world. China has a 90% control of world these special minerals that different companies normally use for certain stuff. It has a 70% control of lithium, which is used in the electronic batteries that normally are now being used all over as we go green, okay? In the green environment, green infrastructure, where we're using electricity more than we're using combustion. Lithium is a big part of the batteries, and China normally exports 70% of that to all around the world. Now, if China controls that and they cap it to a certain level, it's going to affect the whole world. How? If they make it harder to get access to these special minerals and lithium and all that, then the prices of those goods are going to go up, be it Tesla cars, be it Tesla batteries, be it anything that, be it the Nvidia chips that are normally used, all that is going to be much, much harder to get access to, meaning the prices of those things are going to go up. If they go up, the sales, of course, are going to go down because many people won't be able to afford it. Okay, so that's why you're seeing those markets were really, really affected over the weekend, and people are taking gold as a safe haven where they can, as the world trade tension continues, gold is a safe haven to hold for in the long term until we get some stability and understand what is really going on. So all those factored in together is really causing the markets to go down. A dollar go up, the gold market to go up. Dollar weakness is also another factor that is allowing people to be able to buy more gold, cryptocurrencies, and all that. So if you look here, so central banks have been also, central banks, another big factor is supply and demand. We can't talk about commodities without talking about supply and demand. Gold is affected. What makes the market go up and down is supply and demand. Sometimes gold can be very consolidating, doesn't even care what fundamentals are coming in and out. Many people wonder, why is gold not moving? But when gold really moves, it's always about supply and demand. And the demand right now has been much higher than it has been in previous years. And we are seeing that starting off with the central banks. Central banks, especially the Central Bank of America. I saw in an article that their purchasing power of gold has gone much higher than their treasuries. Okay, so it just crossed. It's like the way moving averages normally cross one another. It's really been catching up, and they've also been stacking up. China's been stacking up. Russia's been stacking up. Many countries have been stacking up in terms of their central banks, buying a lot of gold over the years. Okay, so you can see technically, it's a reflection of what is happening fundamentally, what is happening on the ground. Gold has been rallying, rallying, rallying. Now, personally, I haven't taken position in this. I really wish I could buy, and maybe in different cycles moving forward, and maybe I'd advise you guys maybe in the future. It's not always about buying CFD. Why? Because if you buy CFD and hold it this long, the charges might be much more than you expect, and you won't make that much money. But if you can buy actual gold or buy a gold ETF, then you can get access to less expensive purchases or less transactional cost while you're holding that gold over a long period of time. Because if you started buying gold in the start of 2024 last year, you started around here, you could have gotten a gain of about 100%. So you could have doubled your money in a safe haven. Okay. And we're also seeing a reflection of that when it comes to silver. Silver has also been catching up. We've had about 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Also, this one is on a 9-week consecutive gold bullish streak and continuing to push higher. And I also did an analysis on that yesterday in the previous video. So these are sort of a few of the catalysts that are going to happen, and we're going to see a lot of wealth transfer from the have-nots to the haves, because haves, you're seeing in a lot of debt crisis, mortgage-backed securities and all that. But when it comes to gold as a safe haven, the smart are the ones who get involved, and the retailers and the majority normally come late. So if you see people jumping into gold right now, it's more of I don't want to miss out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not calling this a top. I'm not saying where gold is currently is the top where, and I've been saying this on our Instagram channel. Stop trying to catch a top. Even if you see any sign that is telling you short, you can see here. If I go to the 4-hour chart, for example, someone might see this vast bullish engulfing, just like we had this one here. And many people will say short, short to the gold market. And what happens after that? Markets consolidates just a bit and pushes further up. Okay, so stop trying to catch a top here. The top will come, don't get me wrong. Also, I'm not saying there won't be a top anytime soon, but approach these markets with professionalism, with proper risk management and understanding of how the markets move, depending on how you've watched history. So that's just what is happening on gold. I just wanted to give a bit update on that. Personally, I don't have any trade running on this one. There's a correction I mentioned in yesterday's video, which I was waiting for, but didn't materialize. So I didn't get an entry point on gold. In other news, you remember, like I said, Ken and I are heavily watching stocks these days. And when you're watching stocks, for example, many people watch Nvidia. So let me just give you an idea um, of 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 what I'm talking about. When you're investing in the financial markets, you don't think in a linear manner. You have to think outside the box. Okay, so if I come here and you look at Nvidia, and if you come here by company's market cap, Nvidia is currently the world leading company in terms of market capitalization at 4.5 trillion. And yes, Nvidia was a very good trade for the last decade. If you got into Nvidia earlier on, this has been a very good trade running. If you come here, even let's say for the last 5 years, okay, not really even a decade, starting 2020, and you remember, I think this was a blessing in disguise when COVID happened because a lot of people went online, more people started mining gold, the AI boom started, and during that period, instead of first looking at AI companies and which ones are going to boom and make a lot of money, you first start with which companies are supplying the necessary materials that can give power to or rather to give life and continuation of those AI companies to come into life. Okay, so Nvidia was one of those companies that was one, let's say, top of mind that gave power to that. And you can see from 2020 January, we had a valuation of 144 billion. Okay, just January alone. And come 2025, about 5, 6 years later, it has a 4.5 trillion. If you look at it on the chart here, now let's go on a weekly chart here. Here. Uh, let's zoom down here. So you can see current price is 188. Now, this won't reflect the normal valuation as you're seeing as market cap. But if you come here to, let's say, 2020 here, let's say somewhere here, okay, you can see the shares. Let's go here, okay. Yeah, this market has had a rally of about 4,500%. You can see down there, it was as low as $4 and now is currently trading at around 194, give or take. And over here, we're not talking about even stock splits and all that, which affects the price. But you can see that big rally market just from 2020 alone all the way to 2025. Market has had a 4,000% return, much higher than many of the cryptocurrencies you're even looking at. So, and that's why I pay attention these days to cryptos and the stock market because they move tandem. These are things, or these are markets that gain value, unlike currencies which are sort of looking for equilibrium, looking for power control. I'm looking to trade markets that have a net long-term basis to the upside, bullish side, and those are things that I'm looking at. Of course, corrections are there along the way, and the corrections in these markets are much heavier, or the bear markets are much heavier as compared to a lot on the currency markets. But still, these are the markets that you want to be looking at to put your money and diversify your money in the long term. Cryptos, stock market, indices as well. Okay. Now, I've been looking at Nvidia. Nvidia is already an all-time high. So here, it's already trading at all-time highs. Market is moved from has had a 4,000% rally in the last what is it, 5 or so years. But then again, you want to look at the tension that is happening around the world with the lithium, the special minerals that we're looking for, that these companies need in order to make their electronics and all. You want to look at other companies like this one now. This lesser stock companies, but they have a lot of power in the world, like MP Materials. Now, these are companies that also have rare earth materials that are needed around the world. And recently, the US government has become a heavy investor in the financial stock market in the US. They didn't do this for a while, but recently they started doing this heavily, and they've invested in MP materials, and that's why you're seeing this market just from May 2025 has had a rally of about 400% return. So this market has almost quadrupled. It has had a 3x return on that one. That is MP materials, and these are things that I'm looking at. Lithium, Americas also production. They do production of lithium, and you're seeing with what is happening around the world with China, sort of more people are now looking for other directions of where investments can come from. And you can see just from September 15th. This market has had a rally of about 225%. You're also looking at Trilogy Minerals, and just from 2025 alone, from November, so from around here, December, market has had a rally of about 1,000. And last week we had a very high spike, and that spike came from what? It came from the fact that China was starting to say they want to seize that, and people will look for other alternatives, and that's why you're seeing this market just last week alone had a rally of from a low of $2, okay, to a high of $8, having a almost 300% return in just 1 week alone. So these are things I'm looking at. You have to look at the whole supply chain and where's things coming from, not just the end material. Because if you look at the end material, then many people will just focus on looking at Nvidia. But you have to take a step back. And which other companies are these things supplying? And where is the money going? So these are things I'm still learning. I'm still paying a lot of attention. It's all about being up to date, being on the computer and looking at opportunities that are there, because trust you me, opportunities are everywhere. And I think it's good that I really took a step back from trading currencies, because for the last many years I've been trading, I never used to focus on this. And now that I'm gaining attraction, gaining attention, starting to understand how the markets move, this is where the real money is. Stock markets, cryptos, indices, things that gain value in the long term is where the money is at, and that's what I'm paying attention to. So that was just added information. I'm sure many of you will never use this in your analysis or anything, but I'm just telling you of how you need to think as an investor. Where's the money flowing to? Intel also is another company that the American government has invested into. Yeah, for the last many years, Intel has really been struggling for the last couple of years, and it's starting to make a comeback as the American company. And remember, the not American company, basically it's even the American company. If you look at the whole US government, it's like a whole company. It's being run by Donald Trump, who's a businessman. But anyway, it's having a lot of traction. And they invested about, I think they own about 10% of Intel now. They bought this just this year alone. And that's why you're seeing this rally since June. And this is why I really believe, this is just my own thinking. I believe that is why they've put, if you looked well, I don't know if it's Eric or Donald Trump Jr., the son of Donald Trump. Um, I think it's Eric. He actually got invested. He became a partner in one of these hedge funds. I think is it 1928 or 19, Eric Trump. Let's just look here. Hedge fund. Hedge fund partner. Let's see. Which was it, Eric? Or was it Donald? Anyway, in other news, that's what happened, and those are things you need to pay attention to. I'll look at that. Maybe I'll talk about it in a different video. I don't want to confuse the data. So that's all I had to share for today. One last thing, just before I leave. If you don't know the people in this image, now let me show you this image. Where did I save this image? Uh, Here. Okay. One sec. Now, this is a photo of one. This is a very powerful photo showing the most powerful people in the world. And if you don't know any person here, or if you know two people, then you, my friend, need to do a lot of research if you're in the financial markets. These are people who are controlling the world economy. Okay. starting from the far left all the way to the far right, including the man in the center. Okay. Of course, most of you might know Bill Gates, but who are the rest? You should pay attention to what is happening. They run the biggest companies in the world. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you in a different video and hope to catch you soon. See ya.